Googling things like sometimes is helpful, but it's very similar to how they say don't Google, I have a headache. Google will say like, this will be your last. You're done. It's a tumor.
Google cannot see what's behind the walls, and neither can we.
Hi, I'm Denise Sabia, and together with Mike Bowman, we're your hosts for Renovation Radio. Mike and I are passionate about helping people create the home of their dreams. So if you're thinking about remodeling your home, or if you're just looking for some inspiration, we're here to help you make your dream home a reality. This is Renovation Radio.
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 Mike and I started this podcast just a few months ago, and we had the opportunity to come here and do it live, so eventually you'll be able to hear this on Spotify and Apple if you're interested. What we're going to talk about today is a little bit about why we started this podcast, what it's about, and maybe some lies that you've been told along the way about renovations. So we'd love to hear some of the lies you've been told. I'm going to tell you some lies, and you're going to tell me if they're true or false. We could start with how Mike and I met. We met working for a construction company, separate to who we work for now. We work for Hearth Builders, and we just thought we were so funny. We were the funniest people in the office. It was a two-person office. It was me and Mike. And we always said, we should have a podcast. We should have a podcast. There was so much we could tell people about renovations and so many things that people didn't understand. And it came sort of easy to us, and we kind of made it fun. One thing led to another. We wound up at Hearth Builders, which is in Lower Gwynedd, not too far from here. And we wound up having a great owner that would listen to our crazy ideas. And one day we said, Greg, we have a podcast. Which we didn't. And Greg said, what? You have a podcast? And we had a name, we had the whole thing. And one thing led to another. I have a company card, and here we are. We have a podcast.
And for these that don't know, our company owner is front row.
He's right here.
And actually, she already told you a lie because we met on a TV show.
Yes.
And then you came to work for our company.
That's true. So that's how we know about a lot of lies that maybe you've seen on TV. And I love all the shows, and I think they're very informative and most of all entertaining. But there's some things that maybe the average person would perceive as true or accurate that really aren't. And they're not doing it to deceive you. They're just doing it because they have 23 minutes and they got to go from your crappy laundry room to this beautiful addition with a kitchen in it in 23 minutes. And it's not really possible in the real world. So
some of the
we're here to go
results
through.
of that are they've given contractors a bad rap. Everybody expects it to be done in 30 minutes for $40, and it just doesn't work that way.
Right. So a lot of people get mad at us because they give a first call to our office, and they'll talk to Sarah, and they'll say, I want to renovate XYZ, and we say, how much do you think that's going to cost? And they have these extremely low numbers that are nearly impossible, right? Have you guys ever renovated anywhere? Anything in your house, like in the green sweatshirt, what room have you renovated? Your kitchen. And before you renovated it, how much did you think it was going to cost you? 50? 50, even worse. You're one of the ones who've called us.
And that is the hardest room in your home to renovate.
Did you want cabinets with that, or you were just going to eat on the floor? No, you had your own. Okay. Well, how much did it wind up costing you? 25. Oh, that's not bad. You bought your own cabinets, and so you did a lot of work yourself.
Yeah, I had my own cabinets and my own tile and my own flooring.
So you were the GC, and you just pointed and said, I have
Yes.
this tile in my basement. Can you bring it up and put it here?
No, it was already in the kitchen.
Right, wherever you were storing your tile
Yeah.
before the tile guy got there. How fun was that?
Not a
Did you
lot.
have a great time doing it?
No,
Yeah, it's a lot.
it was a lot.
It is a stressful situation
Very.
going through that, especially having strangers in your home.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's confusing. You don't know who's in charge. Well, at Hearth, we're a design build firm. So we start from concept of you want to renovate your kitchen, and then we'll show you a couple different ways that maybe we could reimagine your kitchen. And then we have a whole team that walks you through it. So the only thing you have to do is really make the decision of yes, I like that tile. I think that's a great idea. And then we throw it all in the bucket and see how much it came up to and figure out if we're going to build it. I printed out a few things on the internet, which is the greatest way to go. And speaking of the internet, when you were renovating your kitchen or your bath, I'm sure more than half of you here Googled, how much is it going to cost to renovate my bathroom? which is completely accurate, right? Google knew exactly how much it was going to cost, and it was right on the money. He didn't, because Google's never been to your house before and has no idea what your bathroom looks like now and has no idea what your bathroom should look like when it's finished or what you're going to use or that you had to reroute, that you wanted to move the toilet over to the other side of the room. So Googling things like sometimes is helpful, but it's very similar to how they say don't Google, I have a headache. And Google will say like, this will be your last. Like that's it, you're done. It's a tumor.
Google cannot see what's behind the walls, and neither can we.
Exactly.
And whatever you think it might be, multiply it by 2 to 3 times.
So if I said a reasonable amount of time to renovate a space, if you were going to renovate your kitchen and you had a 200 square foot kitchen, how much time do you think that would take?
30 minutes, just like on TV.
Right. It doesn't. TV always shows you, they speed it up, they get things done. You don't see everything that's happening besides all the planning that needs to go into it. So that's one falsehood you're going to find if you watch TV shows, is how it's done so quickly.
In reality, the average kitchen would be a 6 to 8 weeks, 10 weeks to really get quality done, and that's a full gut and having a brand new kitchen in the end.
Yeah, it's a lot of time and it's a lot of frustration, but as long as you have someone helping you out and guiding you along the way, the frustration should be kept at a minimum. The second lie is how much does it really cost, which we touched on. Well, we don't know how much it costs until we fully design it. So you can say, I have a kitchen, I want to renovate it. How much is it going to cost? Well, I don't know. So we're going to look at your kitchen. We're going to talk to you about why are we doing this. It looks beautiful to me. I went to a house recently, and I would have taken their kitchen in a minute. I was like, I have no idea why I'm here. This looks phenomenal. They bought amazing appliances. Their cabinet was great. Even though they're like, well, we did it 20 years ago. I'm like, well, it really looks great. So like, you're not really like singing the blues that like nothing was broken. It wasn't out of style. It was a timeless design. So we don't know what we're going to do until we really get into it and do it. Maybe you have a horrible work triangle in your kitchen, or maybe we could solve that. Where's the sink going to go? Where's the fridge going to go? So we've got to figure all that out.
And one of the untruths of TV shows is you don't see what goes behind the scenes in the finances. The homeowner does put up some money. A lot of the materials are donated through companies that want to get their name on the TV show. In the end, what you think they're getting for $38,000 is still $140,000 worth of donated materials and labor and people that just want to get their names on the shows.
Right. A lot of times the number they show you is how much the homeowner contributed. The show that Mike and I worked on, Kohler was a sponsor. So we got everything and anything from Kohler that we wanted. If I really liked you, you were getting like a $3,000 toilet just because I could. And if I didn't like you, you were getting an outhouse. We were going to reuse your old toilet. I'm just kidding. We always got them good products. But they don't count that in. You could have a $1,200 faucet in your bathroom, which in real life, would you have picked a $1,200 faucet? You might have fell in love with it, but then when you saw the price, you were like, I have to send a kid to college. We got to fix something that's leaking downstairs. In real life, you're not really buying these $1,200, $2,000 faucets. But in the TV shows, there's a lot of things covered. And there's a lot of contractors who they want like word on the street as they were on this show. So they're willing to cut their numbers to be a part of this show. So don't look at the numbers on the reality TV shows. And they're great, and we love who we worked for. And in particular, the host that we worked for was very specific. Like, what's that story you have about the spackle and the painter?
We interviewed a new painter for the show who worked on other shows in New York City. And one day he would spackle and paint, and I asked him how that was possible. On TV, he just rolled right over the spackle because you cannot see the dimples made by the roller on television.
You need to spackle, let it dry, sand it, spackle, let it dry, sand it. So it's a process. And sometimes there's shortcuts taken. But the host that we work for would never let that happen. He was very specific about leaving the client with something that he would have no less than do for his mother or for himself. So that was nice.
And one other interesting fact about these donated items in some states, you're responsible for the taxes. So even though you received it for free, you might receive a bill at the end of the show to pay the portion of taxes for donated items.
Right. What's the one where they say, move that bus? What's that one where they move the bus with Ty Pennington? So people were left with houses that were worth 3, 4, 5 times the amount that they started with. And they wound up having to sell the houses because they couldn't pay the taxes on the house. And so things aren't always as they seem.
There was a guy in Cherry Hill or the Philly area that's what happened.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford the taxes and had to
Levittown
move.
or something?
Yeah.
What else? Oh, the DIYers are doing it themselves. Do you remember that show, Trading Spaces? I tried out for it. Can you believe I didn't make it? I totally should have made it.
Hence why you're sitting here.
I think I have a better job now than if I made it on Trading Spaces. But they fast forward a lot and they say that, these homeowners are doing it themselves. They're not, because on the show we worked at, I was the designer on the show. This is the person who was doing it. When the host left, which we love him, he was on the show maybe 2 days out of a 6-week project. And they would come in, do their segment, and then there were all these guys behind the scene that were really putting these rooms together, and they would work until late in the night, where I had Mike setting up, putting together like an IKEA sectional until like 10:30 at night for this reveal the next day in one of our projects. So there's always a lot of people behind the scenes. It's not just your neighbor coming in and gluing feathers to your basement wall. They had help. The fancy new furniture and decor isn't yours. So reveals are beautiful. They are so beautiful. Even in our reveals. So we finish it off, we hand it off to the homeowner. It looks beautiful. We do professional photos. That's what's on our website. If you want to see hearthbuilders.com, look under our portfolio. There's beautiful images. But then people live in it. You're going to put your shampoo and your bar soap, and it's going to get disgusting. And that niche is not going to look nearly as beautiful as the day we handed it over to you. And that's okay. But also in some of these TV shows, you see fantastic furniture, and you're like, how did these people also afford another $80,000 to $120,000 in furniture? Well, it's because they're brought in, and you take the pretty pictures, and you do the reveal, and then the homeowner is handed a sheet. Here, if you would like any of these things that are in your room, here's the cost. And you circle what you want, and those stay, and then at the end of the day, whatever you didn't circle walks back out again. So you have this beautiful space with your 1982 Lazy Boy recliner crapping up the joint.
And you're not getting a discount there either.
You're not getting a discount there. Although I would. Sometimes I'd be like, oh my God, these people were great. It's more trouble for me to put this in my truck than to leave it for your son in his playroom. So, be nice to the designer if you ever get on a TV show. Number 5, I'm going to give to you.
Everything you need is in one store. False. You should visit all kinds of stores. Understand what your design element is you want to follow. It's not just going to a particular Home Depot and finding everything at a discounted rate. There are hundreds, as you can see at this show, how many vendors have you walked by selling the same thing one-off or a million different things. It is absolutely imperative that you make these decisions early and get them to your contractor to understand the plan moving forward.
If you're going to do this yourself, you really have to have patience. You have to be really organized. Our company has a whole design team assigned to you, so it's their job to keep everything organized, and they're just proposing things to you and showing you different things and feeling out what's the right decision in your space, the colors, the tiles, the whole fit and finish. But you want to make sure that they're ordered in a timely manner so that when you start your project, we're not like, all right, see you in 3 weeks when your cabinets arrive. We want it to roll. We want to know that when we're ready for the cabinets, they had already got delivered to your garage 3 days before, and there was nothing wrong with them. You want to open everything, check everything. So you really want to be organized. So sometimes we'll have people talk to us and say, well, what's the timeline? The one timeline I always say is, you're probably going to be enjoying your new space about 10 months after our first conversation. And people are like, 10 months? It's just to do it right, you need to go through a concise design process, make sure everything's ordered. We need to have the production team plan it out, set up a schedule, get the correct permits, and then we start. Rushing things 100% never works out. What's the saying, like fast, cheap, and good? You can have 2 of them?
I don't even think
You
you can
can't
have
even
2
have
of
2.
them.
You can have all of them, but it won't be good. You can have fast and cheap, and it won't be good.
A word of caution to you DIYers, make sure to know what your limit is. Because you think a contractor is expensive beforehand, wait till he's got to come fix your problems. If you're not familiar with electric and plumbing, hire an electrician and a plumber. You could severely damage or hurt people by trying to do it yourself.
Yeah, don't do it yourself, and it's going to look like crap. So have a timeline, do your homework, find the right products. Another example I have is just the other day, I went to a client's house. They have a larger home, a dated kitchen. 15 years ago, you're going to like this, Greg. Alan Harth, who's the founder of our company, came out to their house because they wanted to put in a Four Seasons room. So they had Alan Harth come out, genius of a man. He's in his 90s now, but 15 years ago, he was still working. He came out, told them what needed to be done to put this Four Seasons room on the side of their house, and guess what they did? They went with another company. And for 15 years, this room has leaked, and they've hated it. So they recently signed with us just yesterday to come knock down the entire structure, expand their kitchen into the footprint, which we're fingers crossed the foundation is correct, because I have the Allen Hearth plans of how it was supposed to be built. We're going to investigate and see how it wound up being built. So it was a giant waste of money for 15 years. Even if you have to wait, it's better just to wait until you have the money to do it right than to just rush and do it wrong. And here we are 15 years later. I mean, they have different needs now. Their kids are gone. Here's another one I read. You don't need to go on vacation while your home is transformed. I mean, honestly, I'm all for you going on vacation, because when we start a project, everything is already decided. We don't have x-ray vision. If we see something, we're going to take a picture. You could be at work, and we're going to text you the picture at work and say, we've come across this, and here's what we need to do, and it's going to cost X amount. And you either say yes or no. If you say no, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do, but you're going to be living with like a pipe coming down the center of your room. But we're going to resolve it. I don't necessarily need you breathing down everyone's neck. So if you want to go on vacation during one of my projects, people who have lived in other countries while we do our projects, because we do our homework first. And you have access to everything online of what did you select, and we take pictures along the way, and we use a system called Co-Construct that you can log on to it and you click View Images, and it'll show you what the guys did today. A couple days later, they're going to download more images. So leave, by all means, get out.
Rent a camper, park it in your yard, and enjoy the peace and quiet.
No offense, but we don't need you. You already designed it. You already said yes. We agreed on the cost. That's fantastic. You can go back to work. So pay for your vacation.
You skipped one of the most important ones and
What?
the most expensive.
Which one? Winging
You
it?
can wing it.
No, you
skipped
can't.
right over it.
All right, go ahead. You take it.
You want your project to end up expensive and time delayed? Make changes on the fly. The better the plan, the better your price.
I like that. Yeah, there's nothing worse than like you decide on everything, we're ready to go, and then you're like, maybe I don't like an undermount sink. What if I did a farmhouse sink? And we're like, it's a whole different sink base. So remember those cabinets that took 12 weeks to get here that now they're sitting in your garage, but now you want that? Well, now this is really gonna cost you a lot, because we can't just close a project down and not incur any costs.
Yeah.
Where do our guys go? They were planning on rolling and templating your countertop, and now they're not. So you indecisive decision makers.
Be aware it's going to be costly, but with that being said, it's an expensive budget for you, and you want to stand back and look to see what you want. There is opportunities to change. Just prepare everybody for it, and be prepared for an extended timeline and a bigger budget.
Or you could say, like, I decided to paint myself. And we're like, oh, great. And we'll give you a credit for the painting. So you need to be organized. You need to have a timeline. You need to be understanding. You're going to have renovation fatigue. We call it renovation fatigue. As much as you love the plan and you can't wait to see the results, and you love your lead carpenter and your project manager and your designer was the greatest, and your dog loves everyone. It has just been the greatest experience. You are going to be like, get out. Get your dumpster, get your porta potty. It's renovation fatigue, because if it's done right, it's going to take a long time when you're doing larger projects. So be aware, be ready for renovation fatigue. In the end, you will be so happy the day we turn it over to you.
We do end up being friends and family with a lot of the people we do work for.
Right.
But we all get sick of each other, just like our normal families.
I mean, I never get sick of Mike. He might get sick of me. It's not all smiles and hugs at the end. Oh, well, we hope it is. But
We absolutely hope it's a smile and a hug and a thank you very much. Now get the F out.
I'll take a smile. Yeah. So if you're not set up from success from the start, it's unlikely that you'll finish successfully. So you got to set yourself up for success. The truth. Expert renovators can bring your fantasy to life. I think that's the truth.
Well, we could touch on some points on this previous one of what to look for in a contractor, and that is one that's not going to go away.
I like that, and you're good at that.
Check to make sure there's a process at the end of your project that is in writing for them to fix and warranty all your items.
I like that one. We have a 2-year warranty, but even after 2, we just had someone call the other day, and it's past 2 years, but we're still fixing it.
There's settlement in houses, nail pops, Hearth Builders isn't going anywhere. A reputable builder is not going anywhere. A guy in a pickup truck moves very fast.
Right. Then you'll call us 15 years later to come tear it down and build something else. So take your inspiration to someone who can guide you through the actual steps required to do the job right. Good? Well, happy renovating. If you guys are on Instagram, we're on renovation.radio on Instagram. Start following us. We're kind of funny on there.
Have a nice day.
Thanks for leaving, Greg. Thanks for listening to another episode of Renovation Radio. I hope you learned something new and that you're feeling inspired to start your next remodeling project. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Hearth Builders. We're always here to help. And don't forget to subscribe to the show so you don't miss any future episodes. We've got some great topics coming up in the next few weeks we don't want you to miss.